Yes, welcome back to the Sports Show. Of course, the Adelaider 36ers start the Blitz this weekend pre-season, so we thought we'd try and catch up with how their training's going with one of the young stars. Tad Dufelmeier Jr. joins us. Tad, thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, pre-season, how's it been? CJ got in a little bit late, so it's not as smooth as it would be, but how's the last 3 or 4 weeks been?
I mean, it's been great. You know, the guys are getting after it. It's good energy around practice, so I'm really enjoying it. New spot, new experience, and I'm just taking it all in.
Well, let's talk about a new spot, new experience, mate. You had a couple of years up in Cairns and, of course, did pretty well up in there, hence the Sixers headhunted you to give you to here. What was the experience like in Cairns for you?
It was real formative. A lot of lessons learned. You know, we did really well first year, a lot of success. Second year, not so much. But, you know, kind of both ends of the spectrum just setting me up for, you know, hopefully doing some great things here.
So, mate, we want to talk about your dad because he was one of my favourite players. Tad's dad's name is Tad, but he was a superstar. Yeah. Absolute superstar, no doubt about it. If his knees had been healthy, I think he would have been a legit NBA star. Best player I've seen in 40 years, one-on-one, without a doubt. So, mate, for you, did you ever get a chance to play against him, or were the knees shot by the time you started getting along?
I didn't get a chance to play against him one-on-one, but, you know, a lot of shooting games out in the driveway, and even banged up elbows, he'd still beat me with the left hand, so it was real frustrating. I definitely, you know, saw the one-on-one skills in person, but never going against him. So,
so I'll tell you a true story. We played against Melbourne Tigers. Andrew Gaze, legendary player in Australia, and Andrew's guarding your dad, Tad, and he's got the shakes going, he's moving the ball, and Andrew's trying to move his feet at the same time, and Tad had a little bit of smart in him, mate. So just at the last minute, he went like that, and Andrew Gaze fell over on the floor. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen in a game in my life, and Andrew was so embarrassed by it, and if he knew I was telling the story now, he'd be horrified. But next time you're talking to your dad, ask him if he remembers that incident. Mate, your time in college, community college first, then into the bigger college at Irvine. How was that experience for you?
Once again, definitely lessons I needed. Learning, you know, being on my own, situation that was new once again. You know, things had been kind of sheltered for me being over here, so just, you know, getting out into the real world and, you know, figuring out my own path, my own journey, and actually kind of shadowed my dad's once again, going from junior college to the 4 year. So it was really good.
Do you find the Americans do it a bit differently over there? They're so serious about basketball. What were the key learnings that came out of that whole college experience for you?
You know, it's a different culture over there. Basketball's played everywhere. You can play pickup games. You know, your local YMCA, 24-hour fitness. There's people always playing. So I loved it. But you gotta learn to be aggressive out there. You know, they'll take it at you. Anybody on the street, you know, has some skills, so you can learn lessons wherever you go. So,
was it difficult for you, mate? Because Canberra had a massive basketball following at one stage, and then it kind of went into a lull. So you came into that lull period where it was like you're saying. At one stage, everybody there played basketball. Then it kind of dropped off because the NBL, the team folded, no longer in the NBL. So, a few of those junior formative years, how difficult for you getting the tougher competition that you thought you needed?
You know, it was tough. Obviously, you know, going against the Melbourne kids and stuff like that, they have the overwhelming amount of talent around. You know, wherever they go, they'd play against someone tough. But it was, shout out to my dad once again. You know, he tried to make me play against older people from a young age, so just getting those lessons that way. So trying to make up for it.
Do you reckon the last couple of years in the NBL, coming back from college, and then it's a different style. You play against men as opposed to young college kids. What's been the biggest learning curve for you in that couple of years?
Biggest learning curve is, like you said, it's just grown men. You know, the speed picks up, the size, the strength. So just trying to play the game you've known so far, but adjusting it to, you know, these bigger bodies that are, you know, the biggest ones you're probably going against.
What are you currently working on in your game, mate? What's the thing that you're working on at the moment to add to your weapons, mate?
Defensively, you know, trying to navigate around screens and stuff like that. And obviously pretty quick and have to be so because of my size, but making sure just being patient and slowing down and making the right reads when my opportunities come.
You've played in a few teams over your career. How do you find joining a new team and making those connections straight away? Do you find that difficult, or everyone kind of welcomes you? And
I think from my college experience, you know, it was thrown into a totally new situation and then transferring to another school again and then coming out. So it's something I've had to get used to. So it's not overwhelming for me. I'm pretty used to it by now, but every situation is different for sure.
Adelaide as a city, how have you found it?
It's very nice. You know, it's got a big city feel, some things like that, but it's also not too big at the same time where you can drive from one place and not feel like you're driving for hours. So I really enjoy it so far.
Mate, Cairns to Adelaide, are the training methods that different or pretty similar, just the coaches have different strategies?
You know, coaches have different strategies, their own things. I think, you know, there's similarities because they're both player coaches that have played in the league before. So I enjoy it, both of the experiences and what they brought to the table just because they have played before.
What are you thinking will happen this weekend, mate? You've got to play against your old team. Is it a little uncomfortable, you know, when you've been with the team for a while? Is it in your mind to go, it'll be fine, it's just Cairns, or, you know, as opposed to we're playing Melbourne Phoenix? Is it a bit different?
You know, I have a big chip on my shoulder, so whoever I go against, but there's definitely you know, a little extra incentive this weekend. Nothing but love for those guys, but you know, we got after it every day, so there's definitely some bad blood in the water there trying to go after them. Yeah.
Mate, it's always a great time of the year when you get to start playing against the other teams. We've been beating up on each other for 2 months now, and you go, finally we get to beat up on someone else. So genuinely excited about November 14th, first pre-season game?
Genuinely excited. I've been waiting for a while now. Obviously, COVID slows things down. Didn't get to finish my last season, so I'm itching to play some basketball.
Hey, mate, the Jack Jumpers come in this year, first time for a team from Tasmania. Well, of course they had teams previously, but for a long while. And you know when you go and play that first game against the first team, it's going to be emotive. They're up and about. Unfortunately, that's exactly what the Sixers have got for their first game. Have you talked about that yet, or haven't? It's too far away, been just focused on what you're doing?
I've thought about it a little bit. We haven't really spoken about it as a team, but obviously I played down in Hobart and in the NBL 1, so I'm looking forward to see what the energy is going to be like when I go down there.
What's the biggest thing that you think you're bringing to 36ers?
I think, you know, a lot of versatility from my spot. Obviously, I'm not a big guy, but I pride myself on being able to do a lot of things. So just whatever they need and trying to win some basketball games, I think I can bring that to the team.
Yeah.
You know, when a new coach arrives, mate, and the players are there, and he's obviously seen what you've got or you wouldn't have been recruited in, how are you feeling that he's seeing you at the moment? You think he's starting to get some confidence in you?
I think so. I mean, obviously, I'm still pretty new to the league. Had a couple good showings last year, but I think there's much more to me and much more I can show. So I think he's liking what he's seeing, and hopefully I can show him some more.
Mate, you feeling comfortable? You know, when you come in like you come from the college system. Sometimes there's guys that are a little bit arrogant, some guys a little bit shy. Then it's kind of got to prove myself, and it takes a year or two to do that. And then, as a player, you start to get that feeling. You know what? I actually belong. In fact, I can actually be pretty good here. Have you hit that comfortable button of belonging, and now it's the next uncomfortable button to get better?
I don't know about consistently just yet. There's definitely been flashes where I felt like, you know, I do belong. You know, there's been some learning curves as well, but I think I'm getting close to hitting that button and moving on to trying to improve and be a force in the league.
Well, it's a nice button when you get there, mate.
Yeah.
All the games are televised. You and your dad have a close relationship from what you've said today. Does he help critique you after a game?
He gives pointers. You know, we always talk.
Or does Mum give more?
Mum probably actually does give
yep.
more in her own way, but Dad's always been super supportive and giving me pointers when I needed it. So he's been really good in that aspect, you know, being there when I need to and being just a father when I need to also.
Have you felt pressure, I guess, your dad being such a legend in basketball, have you felt that pressure on yourself to sort of either live up to his standards or almost like outdo him in a way?
I think more from a competitive standpoint within the family, I'm like, yeah, I want to try and do better than your legacy, but never pressure from them. It's always been really good. Man, I lost. It's been great, but I'm hearing more stories. I think that's what I was getting back. The stories I hear, it's like it gets more and more intimidating. You know, he's blowing on someone and they're falling over. So the more and more stories I hear about him, it's like, geez, this guy is pretty special. Was
basketball always something that you felt you wanted to do, or you just sort of looked up to your dad and then started playing it and you loved it as well?
I think it's a little bit of both. You know, as a basketball family, did have a choice, but not really. But at the same point, it's always been fun. Something my family could bond over. Obviously, we're super competitive, so I think there's just no choice but to be a basketball player.
You got a partner?
I do.
So, mate, your mum was unbelievably supportive of your dad when he played, always there. Is it similar?
Similar. Definitely
Yep.
similar. She plays basketball as well, so it's great. Kind of similar points in our careers as well, trying to break into the league and get our own spot. So
Fantastic.
it's super cool to be on the journey with her.
How do you break away? How do you stop the conversation being 24/7 at home about basketball 7 days a week?
That's the joy of being with her. She's cool, so we know.
Yep.
We're both in the space, so we kind of know when we want to talk about something else or and just play it by ear.
All right, last question, mate, because you know you've got to get off to training and stuff. The 36ers, has it been a bigger focus on the offensive end of the floor or the defensive end of the floor?
Both.
Yep.
I can't really say one or the other. Just trying to implement, a good culture here and try and become a powerhouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Tao, we appreciate your time, mate. We'll watch you with interest. We look forward to getting you back in. I'll look forward to catching up and telling you some stories about your dad. So there's some beauties you don't know. So, mate, good luck for the season. Hope it's a ripping weekend for you against Cairns. Stay with us. Still plenty to come on the show.